Welcome to the Digital Intellect, bringing you the latest news from around the world. The day began like any other at Indira Gandhi International Airport. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden hue over the bustling terminals. Ground crews moved with practiced efficiency, preparing for another busy day of departures and arrivals. Air India Flight 171, a state-of-the-art Boeing 787 Dreamliner, pushed back from the gate right on schedule. The aircraft gleamed in the morning light, its engines humming with anticipation as it prepared for the long journey ahead. Passengers, a mix of families, business travelers and tourists, boarded the plane, stowing their bags and settling into their seats. Some chatted excitedly about their plans in London, while others gazed out the windows, lost in thought, completely unaware of the tragedy that would soon unfold. The aircraft lifted gracefully into the sky, leaving the city behind. For the first hour, everything was routine. Flight attendants served breakfast, passengers read or dozed, and the pilots monitored their instruments as the plane cruised smoothly above the clouds. Suddenly, without warning, alarms blared in the cockpit. Warning lights flashed urgently, signaling a critical emergency. The calm routine was shattered in an instant. The pilots, both highly experienced and trained for such moments, sprang into action. They worked through their emergency checklists, communicating rapidly as a cascade of system failures began to unfold. Every second counted as they fought to regain control. In the cabin, passengers felt a violent shudder run through the aircraft. Drinks spilled, overhead bins rattled, and a sense of unease spread. Then, an eerie silence fell as the engines lost power, leaving only the sound of rushing wind. The pilots declared a mayday, their voices tense as they reported a catastrophic loss of power to air traffic control. But before they could finish, their final transmission was abruptly cut short, leaving controllers on the ground in stunned silence. On the ground, air traffic controllers watched in horror as Flight 171's blip flickered and then vanished from the radar screen over the rugged Aravalli Range. The realization of what had happened sent shockwaves through the control room. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched, braving treacherous terrain and unpredictable weather. For days, helicopters and ground crews scoured the mountains, clinging to hope as they searched for any sign of survivors. When the wreckage was finally discovered, the devastation was total. The twisted remains of the aircraft lay scattered across the mountainside, a stark and sobering reminder of the risks inherent in aviation and the fragility of life. Investigators arrived on the scene, their top priority clear: recover the black boxes. These crucial devices, designed to withstand the most extreme conditions, were the only hope for understanding what had gone wrong. After hours of painstaking searching, the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder were found, battered but intact. These small, resilient devices held the key to unlocking the mystery of Flight 171's final moments. As investigators pored over the data in secure labs, the world waited for answers. The recovery of the black boxes offered the first glimmer of hope that the truth behind this tragic disaster would finally be revealed, and that lessons could be learned to prevent such a catastrophe from ever happening again. In the weeks following the devastating crash, the official investigation seemed to drag on endlessly. Frustration grew among the public and the families of victims, as answers remained elusive and the cause of the disaster was still a mystery. Investigators combed through the wreckage, but progress was painstakingly slow, and speculation began to swirl in the media about what could have gone wrong. Everything changed when a bystander's shaky phone video suddenly went viral online. The footage, captured in the chaos of the moment, spread rapidly across social media platforms, drawing millions of views and igniting a new wave of public interest in the case. The video revealed a crucial detail missed by many: a small propeller spinning beneath the aircraft's belly. This was the Ram Air Turbine, or RAT, a device rarely seen in action, and only under the most dire circumstances. The RAT is designed to deploy only when both the main and backup power systems have completely failed. It acts as a last resort emergency generator, providing just enough power to operate the most essential flight controls and instruments. The presence of the RAT in the video was a game changer. Suddenly, the narrative shifted away from blaming pilot error, and attention turned to the possibility of a catastrophic mechanical failure, something far more serious and unexpected. Aviation experts explained that when the RAT is deployed, the pilots are left with only the bare minimum of control, essentially turning the sophisticated jet into a powerless glider. The crew would have been fighting to keep the plane stable with almost no help from the aircraft's advanced systems. The viral video sparked urgent new questions. How could both engines and all backup systems fail at once on such a modern, technologically advanced jet? Was this a freak accident? Or did it point to a deeper, systemic issue with the aircraft's design or maintenance? Investigators quickly shifted their focus, now zeroing in on the engines, electrical systems, and maintenance records. Every detail was scrutinized for clues that could explain such a total loss of power. The whirring rat became a symbol of the investigation, a smoking gun that suggested either a critical design flaw or a massive lapse in maintenance procedures. The stakes had never been higher. Around the world, people anxiously awaited the official findings, hoping for answers and accountability. Would the investigation confirm what the viral video seemed to reveal, or would new evidence emerge to change the story once again? The rat video was the first major clue, but more evidence soon emerged. Experts confirmed the rat's deployment meant total engine failure. Audio from the cockpit voice recorder revealed unusual background sounds. Engine flameouts, failed backup power, and the rat's whir. Survivor accounts described a loud bang, then silence and darkness before emergency lights flickered on. These testimonies match the technical evidence: dual engine failure and power loss. The pilot's final mayday, dual engine failure, no power, was urgent and direct. Combined, the clues pointed to a catastrophic mechanical event that left the crew with no options. The question was no longer what happened, but why. The investigation became a global effort, led by India but joined by US and UK agencies. Teams analyzed the black boxes in secure labs, reconstructing the flight's final moments. Boeing, as manufacturer, provided technical support, but also faced scrutiny over potential design flaws. Every second of data was cross-referenced to build an undeniable timeline. The stakes were high. A modern jet with multiple safety layers had failed. Airlines and passengers worldwide awaited answers. The investigation's credibility depended on transparency and independence. Watchdog groups and the public demanded the truth. The pressure was immense. Find the cause and do it without bias. Major air disasters always raise concerns about transparency and the extent of corporate influence. When tragedy strikes, the public demands answers, and the integrity of the investigation becomes paramount. The world watches closely, hoping for clarity and accountability from all parties involved. Boeing's role as a technical advisor in these investigations has long worried safety advocates and the families of victims. They fear that the company's involvement could compromise the objectivity of the findings, especially when so much is at stake for both reputation and financial interests. The primary concern is that the investigation might shift blame toward operational errors or maintenance lapses, rather than addressing potential design flaws or systemic issues within the manufacturing process. This redirection can obscure the root causes and delay meaningful reforms. Past cases have demonstrated that corporate interests can not only slow the release of critical information but also shape the narrative presented to the public. Delays in communication and selective disclosure have eroded trust in the process. Critics have pointed to repeated delays in releasing black box data as a significant red flag, suggesting that transparency is sometimes sacrificed for damage control or legal strategy. The pressure on Boeing has been enormous, especially in light of recent scrutiny over its aircraft and safety practices. The company faces intense media attention, regulatory oversight, and public skepticism. Investigators often rely heavily on Boeing's proprietary data and technical expertise, which creates a complex power dynamic. This dependency can make it challenging to maintain full independence and objectivity throughout the process. The ongoing challenge is to ensure that the investigative process remains evidence-based and free from any form of corporate spin or influence. Maintaining the integrity of the investigation is essential for both justice and future safety improvements. Ultimately, only full transparency and truly independent review can restore public trust. Open access to investigation files and clear communication with affected families are vital steps toward accountability. The pursuit of truth must always rise above commercial or political interests. Only by prioritizing honesty and accountability can the aviation industry move forward and prevent future tragedies. Modern jets like the 787 are packed with sensors and predictive systems to prevent disaster. Data is analyzed in real time, and maintenance crews can receive alerts mid-flight. Yet, Flight 171's tragedy exposed a critical vulnerability. The technology failed to warn of impending catastrophe. Was the failure too sudden, or did the system miss subtle warning signs? Over-reliance on automation can breed complacency, masking rare but deadly risks. Investigators now scrutinize not just hardware but the software and algorithms behind safety alerts. The crash was a stark reminder. Even the smartest systems have blind spots. Aviation safety must evolve to anticipate the improbable. Aviation safety has long been reactive, tragedy, then reform. Flight 171 proved this model is no longer enough. Proactive safety means hunting for hazards before disaster strikes, analyzing fleet-wide data for subtle trends. It requires a culture where all staff can report concerns without fear. International cooperation and open data sharing are essential. A threat anywhere is a threat everywhere in aviation. The investigation must spark a global shift toward proactive risk management. The goal: detect and fix problems before they align into catastrophe. The memory of Flight 171's victims demands more than lessons. It demands prevention. Every crash brings grief, but also lessons that can save lives. The tragedy of Flight 171 must drive real change, not just technical fixes. True transformation requires accountability, from manufacturers, airlines, and regulators. The public and victims' families deserve a full, honest account of what went wrong. This isn't about blame, but about fixing failures permanently. Sensationalism must give way to fact-based, compassionate reporting. Only evidence-based investigation leads to meaningful safety improvements. The legacy of Flight 171 depends on what we do next. Will it be a turning point for aviation safety or just another report? Our responsibility is to ensure such a tragedy never happens again.